Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from anywhere you're hearing me from. My name still remains Eniolamide Francis from Japa with Blue Dreams. Thank you very much for your subscriptions. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the comments. I try as much as possible to reply every one of you, and then I will still reiterate my commitment to always reply your comment and as soon as possible. Today, I have been getting so much question, and the questions all boil down to money. Money, 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 money. How much do I need? How much do I need? How much will it cost me? And some people are very, very ignorant of the cost of studying abroad, studying in Europe in a country like Latvia. Just because Latvia is not a very popular destination does not mean it's relatively cheap. But when you compare Latvia to countries like Netherlands, like Germany, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, it's considerably cheaper. But that doesn't really mean you can say, I want to study in Latvia with maybe $1,000 or maybe 1 million naira, as some people tell me. I think that is why I felt it would be important for me to come to educate and also to give some figures. I cannot be able to give a specific figure, so I just want to give an estimate so that you can have an idea of how much it would cost you to study in Latvia. Thank you. Number one, the most important cost for anyone that wants to study is the tuition. And tuition fees also boils down to the course you study. Also, it boils down to the location of your school. If your school is located in the city center or in a major city like Riga, you expect the school fees to be a little bit higher, and also the living expenses will be higher. But if you live in a city or study in a city outside the city of Riga, like Vertopils, for instance, the accommodation significantly is lower, and also you can expect to have a lower living expenses. So now, generally, most people that I have been talking to have always been students that want to study for a master's degree. So if you want to study, for instance, let's start a master's degree in business management or business information system. The school fees starts from 3,300 euros. 3,300 euros. Then you have to pay a security deposit of 500 euros. So now let me educate you on security deposit. Now, generally in Latvia, most universities usually charge security deposit. This security deposit is refundable on graduation. Some universities charge 1,000 euros, while some charge 500 euros. So the question is, why do they charge this amount of money? Basically, this amount of money is usually charged to discourage, I think, to discourage students from leaving their studies and going to other European countries for work, richer European countries for work and for studies, generally, Latvia is not so popular when you compare it with Belgium, with Netherlands, with Germany. So a lot of students I can get really discouraged and say, okay, let me leave and just go to a top country, a bigger country that have bigger opportunities. But I always want to encourage people. Generally, you see, countries like Germany, like Netherlands, beautiful, I know, advanced, I know, cost salaries very high, I know, I agree. But you also have to consider that living expenses is also very high in this country. So it's still the same thing when you compare. and depending on your lifestyle and what you really want for yourself. But I really encourage you that education is not a scam, and it is important that if you come to Latvia to study, try as much as possible to complete your education, and after you have enough time to move to any other country or European country you want to move to. So again, application fee. Application fee in Latvia ranges from 150 euros to 350 euros. 150 euros to 350 euros. So I was making an example of a master's degree in business information system. The school fees is 3,300 euros. The security deposit is 500 euros. The application fee is 300 euros. But then we also have some schools that the application fee is 150 euros. But this school is not in Riga. It is outside Riga. So Riga is the capital city of Latvia. Accommodation. As I was saying before, accommodation also ranges from as low as 65 euros for a student hostel to 350, 400 euros for a private studio apartment. So it depends on what you want. If you want to study in Latvia, Riga city, most universities don't have a hostel facility. So you have to go for a private hostel or rent a private accommodation, a shared room or a studio apartment. And this can cost you about 250 to 350 euros, depending on the location of the accommodation in the city. Now, this next cost will be the visa fees. Usually, when you go to apply for visa, Latvia embassy in Egypt, Cairo, you apply. The first application is the resident permit application. This resident permit application, you have to pay according to how fast you want the processing time to be. So, for instance, if you want your application to be processed in 5 days, your resident permit application to be processed in 5 days, then you will pay 400 euros. If you want your application to be processed in 10 days, then you would pay 200 euros. If you want a normal application, if you are applying as a master's degree student or PhD student, it is not compulsory for you to pay for the resident permit. If you don't want it to be processed faster, it is free. So that is an advantage also for Latvia. So you can expect an answer in maybe 30 days or more. You don't have to pay for anything if you don't want it to be faster. But for bachelor's degree students, then they have to pay 30 euros for 30 days processing. Same as 5 days, 400, 10 days, 200. After you pay the embassy fees, that is 80 euros, and you pay your police clearance legalization fee, 25 euros. So at the embassy, generally, I ask students that it is okay to pay for 10 days so that you get your application done faster. So expect to pay around 305 euros for your resident permit. And after you get a positive review of your resident permit and you're granted, God's willing, then you have to apply for what we call a resident permit visa. And this costs 80 euros. This visa comes out in less than 3 to 4 working days. It costs 80 euros. I wouldn't be able to talk about airline tickets, Egypt visa, and also accommodation in Egypt because it is relative. Some students might want to stay in a hostel accommodation, while some will feel living with strangers or sleeping around strangers may be uncomfortable. But worst case scenario, if you don't mind living in an hostel accommodation in Cairo, expect to spend between 200 to 250 euros, or let me use euros, please. 250 euros for 1 month plus. You expect to spend about 30 to 33 days in Egypt. If you use 10 days, 10 working days for your resident permit approval. So for the flight, that is also relative, but it goes from 900,000 to about 1.2 million naira for flight from Lagos to Egypt. So, and for Egypt visa, that's also relative. It depends on, so, but expect around 400,000 to about 500,000 naira. That is it. Um, I think that is all about the cost. And if you have any question about this cost, kindly send a message to support@bluedreamstravels.com. Thank you very much for the support. It has been overwhelming. I am so happy, and I wish I started this earlier, but it's not too late. So I will see you in the next video. Kindly please watch and subscribe. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, Japa with Blue Dreams. And when you make some money, Japada.